Ukraine claims to have killed the commander of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in a strike on occupied Crimea.
Booking.com's billion-euro merger with Swedish travel group eTraveli blocked by European Union antitrust authorities.
Ukraine's armed forces claim to have killed the commander of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea during recent attacks on Russian targets in Kremlin-controlled areas of Crimea. In an update to the Russian forces' alleged losses in the operation to destroy the vessel Minsk and the submarine Rostov-on-Don, Kyiv claims to have killed 62 members of the Russian forces in the attack on the 13th of September. After the second attack on the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet on Friday, 34 Russian officers were reportedly killed, including the fleet commander, and more than 100 Russian servicemen were injured. The Ukrainian allegations have yet to be confirmed. Russia TASS news agency described the damage to the Rostov-on-Don submarine as minor.
The Institute for the Study of War says, quote, a very dynamic situation has developed in the Ukrainian counteroffensive around Orikhiv in western Zaporizhia region. The think tank emphasizes that the situation remains dynamic and unclear and that the tactical situation is likely changing rapidly. It is too early to forecast if Ukrainian forces will achieve an operational breakthrough in this sector of the front. Ukrainian forces are attacking along three directions here in the area of Orikhiv. They are conducting attacks from Robotine against Novoprokopivka this way. They're also attacking directly into Verbove's western side this way and also north of Verbove. NASA thermal anomaly data collected between the 22nd and the 24th of September shows an unusually intense cluster of heat anomalies north of Verbove here. These anomalies, while not dispositive, are a supporting indicator of combat north of Verbove and support the Russian and Ukrainian reports of Ukrainian activity between Novofedorivka and Verbove. The Institute for the Study of War says Russian forces continue to expand significant combat power and counterattacking to hold their current positions and appear to be resisting the operationally sound course of action of falling back to prepared defensive positions further south. The Russian sacrifice of combat power to hold every meter may alternatively be intended to support the Kremlin's informational and hybrid warfare objectives.
A standoff between Serb gunmen and Kosovo authorities at a monastery near the border with Serbia ended on Sunday night, following a Kosovo police operation to regain control of the area. The announcement came after a chaotic day that began when a police patrol was ambushed near the village of Banjka, killing one officer and wounding another. The gunmen fled to a nearby monastery where they barricaded themselves in and traded gunfire with Kosovo police for several hours. At least 3 assailants were shot dead in the confrontation. Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti later joined hundreds of people outside a Pristina police station at a vigil for the Kosovar Albanian killed earlier in the day. Kurti called the ambush an act of terrorism and pinned the blame on the Serbian government. Meanwhile, Serbia's President Aleksandar Vučić has condemned the killing of the police officer, but remains firm in putting the blame on Kurti for persecuting Kosovo's ethnic Serbs. A man has been arrested in connection with the killing of the police officer.
Booking's merger with eTraveli faces a veto by EU antitrust authorities. Booking Holdings' planned 1.63 billion acquisition of the Swedish travel group eTraveli was blocked on Monday by the European Union, who said it would have strengthened the company's dominant position in the travel agency sector.
Booking proposed to display offers from competing hotel OTAs on its flight checkout page, which is the page shown to travelers after they purchase their flight tickets. The selection and ranking of hotels and competitors were not sufficiently transparent and non-discriminatory.
Booking, whose brands include Booking.com, Rental Cars, Priceline and Agoda, announced the deal in November 2021. The agreement received an unconditional green light in Britain last year.
A little-known former shipping exec and ex-Goldman Sachs trader on Sunday pulled off one of the biggest upsets in Greek political history after winning the leadership of Syriza, the left-wing main opposition party. Stefanos Keselakis takes over from Alexis Tsipras as party leader. He was elected in the second round on Sunday by the party's members and supporters with just under 57% of votes. Tsipras stepped down after his party lost power to the conservative New Democracy Party in elections in June.
Emergency workers in Libya have recovered a further 23 bodies in the flood-stricken city of Derna. 2 teams are being formed to speed up the documenting of missing individuals. The first will continue recording bodies recovered at sea, while the other will focus on retrieving bodies that were buried randomly at the beginning of the catastrophe. Heavy rains triggered deadly floods which burst 2 dams, sending a wall of water through the eastern city. Between 4,000 and 11,000 are thought to have died, with at least 40,000 displaced.
Hollywood's film and television studios and striking writers have reached a tentative agreement after days of talks. While the agreement still needs to be ratified by members of the Writers Guild of America, it marks a significant turning point in the nearly 5-month-long strike. The historic work stoppage has frozen production and paralyzed much of Hollywood. Terms of the agreement are not as yet known. Environmental activists attempted to stop the Berlin Marathon from going ahead on Sunday after throwing paint and lying on the road at the start of the race. Several protesters were pulled away by police. The eco-protesters, known as the Last Generation, ran onto the road and began spray painting bright orange paint at the runners. Several activists were taken into custody and one security officer was injured during the event. Over 45,000 people were taking part in the 45k race, which continued as planned despite the interruption.
Since March, Scotland's waters have been gripped by an unprecedented Category 4 marine heatwave, an unusual event which has caused mass marine mortalities. For some of Scotland's salmon farms, the staggering 4-degree temperature increase has led to a heightened risk of sea lice infestations. A recent investigation uncovered alarming evidence on 5 farms where fish were observed covered in the invasive sea lice.
Marine heat waves are becoming more frequent, which creates this optimal breeding reservoir for sea lice to rampantly reproduce. And these are the things that eat the skin, the mucus, the blood of the salmon. And you know, these can expel out into the wider environment in their millions.
Sea lice, typically found in low densities in the wild, have become a growing concern. An exacerbating factor is the increasing sea temperature.
2022 was a record-breaking year with salmon deaths doubling. This year the outlook is even grimmer. An alarming 8.9 million fish have been reported as dead on Scottish salmon farms in 2023 already.
And while salmon farming was once seen as a potential solution to helping wild stocks replenish, sea lice are now making it a problem as they're spreading from the farms to wild salmon.
Salmon farming was seen as a sort of salvation, and then of course the complexities become more apparent. And right now the numbers and size of wild salmon continue to drop. It's tragic.
The salmon industry says it prioritises the well-being of the fish and stresses the technologies and innovations it uses against the sea lice. But there are other threats that come from rising sea temperatures. Jellyfish thrive in warmer waters and they can both sting the salmon and block their gills. Across Europe and the world, rising sea temperatures in 2023 tested marine ecosystems and aquaculture.
Any sudden big rise that gets beyond what the animals are used to, can cause stress to the point where they will die. We could see mass mortality of aquaculture, whether they be fish or shellfish.
Salmon is one of the UK's top exports, but this year around a quarter of farm salmon perished. And whilst innovative solutions are being explored, the global challenge of increasing sea temperatures will continue to affect both those who farm and fish and the marine life they oversee.
Counting down to the end of a 7-year mission.
Touchdown.
Celebrations in the control room.
And touchdown of the OSIRIS-REx.
As 250 grams of space dust gathered over 6 billion kilometers away on the Bennu asteroid is safely delivered to Utah. Its cargo may help answer key questions about life on Earth.
The key objective for me, and one of the driving objectives of this program, is to try to understand, did carbon-rich asteroids like Bennu deliver the compounds that may have led to the origin of life on our planet, the origin of Earth as a habitable world? And so we don't want biological organisms interacting with this, so we plan to exclude it from any contact with bacteria or anything else that might compromise our scientific investigation.
In a tweet on X, NASA declared the expedition would take scientists 4.5 billion years back in time. But that journey all hinged on a lengthy return mission into space, lifting off in 2016, reaching Bennu in 2018, and starting harvesting samples in 2020. Only then could the capsule begin its long journey down to Earth.